Today I will talk about the top futuristic sci-fi military technologies that already exist. Warfare has evolved quite a bit from the first time we looked at another group of people and decided to fight them. We've come a long way from charging headfirst into each other and hoping our weapons hit their intended targets. There may have been a time when just having superior battle tactics and higher numbers would have ensured victory, though now, a numerically inferior force could easily take on a much bigger one by just having a technological upper hand on the battlefield. Nearly all of the biggest countries in the world are now working hard at gaining that upper hand, and some of the breakthroughs in military tech in recent times have started to resemble things straight out of science fiction. While we knew that these technologies would definitely be a regular part of warfare at some point in the future, we didn't know that future would be here so soon. Number 1. Invisibility cloak. The ability to become invisible whenever we want wouldn't just be valuable for the military, a lot of us could make use of such an ability in many of our daily interactions. It has been imagined and discussed in science fiction since we started writing science fiction, and even in 2019, it still sounds like something from the future. Fortunately for military contractors as well as people who keep getting stuck in awkward conversations, invisibility cloaks are no longer the stuff of the distant future or science fiction. In fact, we've had at least one invisibility cloak since 2012. A Canadian company called Hyperstealth Biotechnology Corporation has successfully built a material that can make you invisible. It's also passive in nature, which means that it doesn't reproduce your background on any kind of screen, it just bends light around an object. 10 In other words, it's an invisibility cloak exactly like you'd envision an invisibility cloak to be. The US military showed interest in purchasing it because of course it did, and you might just see it deployed on a battlefield near you sooner than you'd have expected. Number 2. Exoskeleton suit. Anyone who has played first-person shooters is probably familiar with the concept of an exoskeleton suit, an exterior suit of powered armor that provides enhanced protection and capabilities. The idea, in various forms, has been explored quite a bit in fiction as well. Just look at Iron Man. While something as high-tech and awesome as Tony Stark's duds will take some time to develop, an exoskeleton suit already exists. In 2018, Russia tested its Ratnik 3 prototype. The tests were largely successful. The tester was able to carry heavy loads and shoot a machine gun one-handed. The suit is made with a titanium framework to increase the soldier's strength and stamina. 6 It has a limitation, though. It doesn't have much in the way of energy storage, so it can only work for a limited time. They're working on fixing that, though. Either way, the Ratnik 3 sounds like a working exoskeleton suit to us. Number 3. Mind control weapon. Imagine simply linking your brain to a weapon, vehicle, robot, or what have you and being able to pilot it with a deftness and fluidity you'd never attain with a joystick to be the fighter jet or Pacific Rim-style giant death robot. If you think that it's safe to say that it'll be some time before we can actually do that, you'd be wrong. The tech already exists. In one study, neuroscientists developed something known as the BrainIt, where 2 monkeys were taught how to control a digital limb with the help of just their thoughts. While it has non-combat applications, especially in aiding people with brain damage or disabilities in their day-to-day tasks, it could also be used for military purposes. The US Department of Defense already has ongoing programs looking into creating mind-controlled weapons, and we could see them put to use quite soon. Number 4. Weaponizing AI. Many scientific and military experts have grave, and justified, concerns about artificial intelligence being allowed into the realm of warfare. Even if a full-fledged killer robot uprising isn't really that big of a concern at this point, it poses many other ethical questions we need to answer first. How do we make sure that autonomous self-learning weapons know the difference between combatants and civilians when even we mistake the two every now and then? More importantly, how do we hold a machine accountable for its actions? Going to jail isn't really a deterrent for it. Despite those concerns, artificial intelligence is already a part of warfare to a larger extent than those concerned about it would be comfortable with. Take Israel's Harop loitering munition system, which is essentially a suicide drone that can self-destruct if it's able to lock on to what it perceives as a target, like enemy combatants or anti-aircraft missile systems. It has already been successfully used on the battlefield, and the scariest part is that it's capable of deciding what to dive bomb entirely on its own. Reportedly, Germany also has completely automated missile systems capable of shooting down enemy missiles without any human intervention. There's a silver lining, though. AI developers aren't as easily available for hire as general weapons experts, and many in Silicon Valley have explicitly refused to work with the military to try to ensure that AI's use in warfare remains limited. Number 5 is hypersonic missiles. The speed of sound isn't anywhere close to the speed of light, and saying that overtaking it is any sort of a breakthrough in 2019 would be dishonest. We have many things that can breach the sound barrier like it's nothing, though most of it is military tech, like jets and missiles, and also super expensive to build. It's not the same for hypersonic speed, though, which is at least 5 times the speed of sound and much more difficult to achieve. It's one of those things we thought we'd see farther in the future, but that was until China put its hypersonic missiles to the test. Unfortunately for all of China's potential enemies, the tests were successful. Developing hypersonic missiles has been a top priority for the United States for some time now, so it would be interesting to see what they come up with now that China has seemingly taken the lead in that arms race.